Today, we'll be covering how Microsoft Sales Copilot will enable your sellers to improve productivity and close more deals with the power of AI. Before I kick off, I want to start off by saying thank you to everyone that has taken the time out of their day to be here. It means so much to us to be able to connect with our customers personally. So we would love to have your questions throughout the webinar. If you have any questions, please drop them into the Q&A, and my colleague Vicky Burton or myself will respond to you either during the webinar or afterwards. For those of you who had an opportunity to tune into the amazing webinars my colleagues put together, you'll have a sense of what's in store for us over the next 45 minutes. Highlighted in green is today's session. And as you can see, we've already had quite a few this month. And so if you happen to have missed one of them, don't worry, head over to the QA section right now and grab the link to our registration site. This is where you can register for all of our upcoming webinars, as well as access those you may have missed in the past. We're going to start off with today's agenda. We're going to start off talking about AI and frankly, how fast it's moving. And of course, how it's fundamentally changing the way that all of us work. Next, we'll introduce how Sales Copilot will empower us to reach new levels of productivity while leveraging data you didn't know you even had or thought you could access within your systems of productivity. But first, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Robert Grimal. I'm born and raised in Miami, Florida, and I've been a technology specialist serving customers across a broad range of industries in the South for the last 2 years. And I'm really excited to get started. So let's dive in. Right. Lately, there's been a lot of buzz and news press around technology surrounding things like ChatGPT, right? Rolled out about a year ago, November of last year. And when GPT rolled out, it hit 1 million users in 5 days, which is the fastest growing consumer app in history. Nothing has hit that kind of growth that quickly. But more importantly, what it has done is it's really democratized AI as something we believe can actually be used in a business setting. This wasn't terribly long ago, right? Like I mentioned earlier, November was just 9 months ago. And today we're at this point where all of software is starting to have AI embedded in it. And so we're truly entering this new age of AI, and it's going to fundamentally change the way that all of us work. Every single person is going to have software in their daily lives that's going to have AI in it. And if you're using Microsoft Office, for example, we're in a Teams meeting right now, we're putting Copilot into everything across Microsoft right now. So it's not just our sales software like Sales Copilot that we're covering today, but it's really going to be there to help you make presentations, to write documents, to write emails. It's going to be prevalent in our daily lives. So the age of AI is here, and it's not going anywhere soon and anywhere else anytime soon. Right. So we're really now entering this concept of a Copilot. You probably saw a lot of announcements from Copilots from Microsoft, right? Copilot means a lot of things, but to simplify it, Copilot is your assistant that's going to help you do your job. And think of that assistant as a tool. Think of it as another tool to help you do your job and help you be amazing at it. Because at the end of the day, we're still people that need to send that email or have that conversation with the person face to face. So these Copilots are popping up all over the place. Inside of Microsoft, we're building Copilots into Office. In business applications, we're building it into our CRM. And I'm here to talk to you today about what we're doing in our business application space, specifically our Sales Copilot designed for Dynamics and Salesforce CRMs. Our Sales Copilot wasn't always called what it's called today. So let's start with a timeline to clarify things. Last year, in October of 22, we announced Microsoft Viva Sales, an AI-driven solution to improve salespeople's productivity in their work. Following that, in March, we announced the Microsoft 365 Copilot, our next and second Copilot. And in July of this year, we announced the relaunch of Viva Sales as Microsoft Sales Copilot. So just to speak plainly, Viva Sales is Sales Copilot 2.0. So let's double click into that and see what that looks like. Sales Copilot boosts seller productivity by streamlining AI-based insights, customized prompts, and workflows into D365 CRM and Salesforce. These integrations optimize customer interactions and accelerate deal closing speed while automating data management into your system. So that's a game changer, right? Allowing our sellers to get back to doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is selling. And further to that, when we look across Microsoft Sales Copilot, we think about the capabilities that are released month over month, right? So some of those latest capabilities are AI generated summaries or real-time tips and suggestions during a meeting, even the ability to edit a record inside of that very same meeting. Today's demonstration will highlight how some of those key Sales Copilot capabilities that enable sellers to work within their systems of productivity like Outlook and Teams instead of having to go to the CRM. So first, we'll see how a seller saves time by not having to hunt and peck for information that resides in the CRM when replying to an email in Outlook. Next, we'll see how customer data is automatically captured and maintained in the CRM. And as you're a seller working on a record, how easy it is to surface deal information to get an intelligent read on, for example, a customer account directly from Outlook. And finally, we'll see firsthand our collaborative selling experience in Teams. This allows sellers to focus on the customer while leveraging powerful AI. So without further ado, let's dive in and see Sales Copilot in action. Okay, so what we're seeing here is our Outlook, right? So our Outlook email. And as a seller, as most sellers do, they begin their day in Outlook. And when they receive a proposal request from a customer, they jump into action to get started crafting a response. And they usually spend the next 15 minutes hunting and pecking for opportunity, product, and pricing information, and then crafting a personalized response. So fortunately for sellers, there's Sales Copilot. It's a headless CRM that co-pilots with you within your systems of productivity. It appears on the right-hand side of your screen, in this case, an Outlook, and can be pinned there as you navigate through your mailbox. So before we dive into any of the functionality, let's get you familiarized with the solution. At the top, you can see the highlights tab, right? You can leverage suggested responses that help you generate AI, and even the summary thread. This is powerful, right? Because when you're interacting with customers over email, you often need to update your CRM system with the latest information. Manually updating the CRM every time you interact with customers via email is time consuming and error prone, frankly, not the job of a seller. So Sales Copilot steps in and summarizes email conversations and provides you with the options to copy the summary and even add it to the CRM, right? So you can go here and add this directly to your CRM timeline so you never have to miss a summary again, right? Collaboration is so important for sellers, right? Collaborating in teams with collab spaces allows a seller to have a prepackaged set of applications and folders to collaborate and foster collaboration, frankly, as well as having an internal facing channel and an external facing channel. Think of it as your hub to save and sort the most important files for you and your customer in a single location, right? And that's what Collab Space is in, and we're going to take a double click into that a little later. But now we're relatively familiarized with the highlights panel in Copilot, let's go ahead and reply to this email. But this time, instead of having to write and look for information, let's use the power of AI, right? So because GPT is on Microsoft's Azure OpenAI service, this ensures that our seller's data is kept secure within the Microsoft cloud. We're also using Office Graph because the Office suite is available, right? And so because of that, what we're able to do is formulate a substantial response in your reply. So looking at the details in the response, you can see that there's mention of a product, pricing, and other related data, right? All seamlessly taken from opportunity records and then combined within the email context. You can even interact with some of the data elements to go ahead and click into it. Microsoft is very big on responsible AI. And so this is a testament to our efforts is ensuring that the data that we leverage in our interactions with customers can be sourced to somewhere in the CRM so that we know that there's credibility into what's being created, right? Something else that's really neat is that we can adjust the tone on the fly. This is a brand new capability that allows us to, keep our heads up and not typing while we're trying to adjust a tone or maybe even set up a meeting time. And you can even tailor it, right? Tailor it to however you'd like to respond to it. So the power that we're seeing here is we're saving sellers time from hunting and pecking for data, and we have countless resources to really have a personalized interaction with that customer. Right. So up next, what I'd love to show you is how a seller can generate a detailed summary after a sales call. Right. And so what I'm pulling up here in our Sales Copilot is a blank email, as you can see. And we have this tool called conversational intelligence. We're going to spend some time covering it. But at the end of a meeting, if you're recording with conversational intelligence in Teams, sellers can capture key meeting highlights, questions asked, and even follow-ups. And we'll spend some more time on that later. But with Copilot in your email, you have a prompt here to summarize a sales meeting. So by just selecting the meeting that I want to summarize, we let GPT get to work, right? And so what's powerful about this is that the response adapts based on the content of the meeting and its participants. So there can be mention of embedded CRM data, as well as the previous meeting highlights and follow-ups. And we can also see, once again, that it's linked to a specific moment in time, a specific meeting, and you can change that on the fly. And so this is a game changer for seller productivity, right? No longer having to spend hours each day devoted to recapping meeting notes and action items, right? Sellers can finally go back to doing what they do best by closing more deals faster, right? So after seeing some of our latest GPT AI capabilities, what we're going to see is how a seller can automatically create a new contact without lifting a finger. And so here we have an email from Ashley Greenbergensteiner. And what we're seeing is at the top of our highlights tab, a big bold button that says, hey, add to contacts. So at this point in time, a duplicate check has been completed and we've validated in Dynamics, in this case, Dynamics, in your system, which if it's Salesforce, it could be done the same, that this contact does not exist. The AI scans the email and then processes the signature block to fill in the contact card automatically. It allows the user to key in the account name to ensure that the contact is associated with the correct entity, for example, or object in Salesforce to consider parent-child relationships. And so we see that this is from AdventureWorks. And so if I just go ahead and type that up, you'll see that I can actually search across all the accounts in the system and all the contacts in the system. So this robust search entity capability will save you time as well. And so in just a few clicks, you can see how this information has been updated, right? And this is powerful because it lends into governance and data accuracy and consistency to make sure we're not duplicating records in the CRM, okay? Now we're going to see how a seller, can go ahead and I'm just going to pull this Copilot up here and pin it. And we're going to see how a seller can interact with a contact that is known in the system and how they're able to make updates to that system directly from Outlook. There's a tab we haven't covered yet, and it's the Dynamics tab. And in this Dynamics tab, I see what's related and most important to the contact on a single pane. First, you're able to save this email to the CRM timeline and associate it, right? Associate it to a specific activity or an account. Right? That's powerful because you're doing this directly from Outlook. Right? A seller can get all the salient information about their contact, in this case, Harold Bacon. Right? We can go ahead and see, for example, a major productivity boost for me is the private notes section. Right? It's a scratch pad for sellers to collect their thoughts and note down key points they want to remember, maybe even a future talking point. And this is valuable because you may have details that aren't meant to be shared, but with Sales Copilot, this is where that information would reside, right? So just backing out here, we'll see some more relevant information related to this account, right? We'll see, or this contact in this case, we'll see the related opportunities and the accounts and related items. Your related items you can think of as an activity timeline. They're things that you've been copied in or items that you've been associated with, right? And so referring back to the customer email, we'll see that there's a call to action to update the close date of an engagement, right? And we can see this engagement right here. And just as a starting point, that's powerful, right? Because in the past, we would need to go into the CRM system, find that, and go through that process, waste that time, frankly. But with Sales Copilot, I'm able to, in just a few clicks, go ahead and update the close date. And when you make an update to a record, as you just seen there, you're also making that update in Dynamics in your CRM. So this real-time update allows for your data to stay in sync and frankly save you time, right? Another key component is that Sales Copilot supports custom entities and custom objects, right? So we can see here that we have, for example, an invoices object. And I can see as a seller the related invoices that may be pending with the customer. And this is powerful, right? Because this speaks towards allowing our sellers to have access to the right information that they may need in order to do their job. And so moving on, one thing that we mentioned, I left a bit of a teaser, is showing collaboration spaces. This is something I'm really passionate about and I use in my day-to-day work. And it's all about bringing together the right members, the right contextual data. And let me pull this over here. The right members and the right contextual data. And so what's important about this is that a seller understands the importance of collaboration. You can create a collab space on the fly. This is one that I did for us ahead of the call, so to save us some time and show us what this looks like. But collaboration spaces features two channels. One internal for the account team, which has all the data that you'd need in order to do your job. You can see here, I'm pulling up the Railroad MTC account, and it takes me directly to Dynamics, pulling up all the relevant information that my team can swarm and work on. It comes with predefined files based on the kinds of things that my team and only my internal colleagues would need to be focused on, such as account planning, presentation, and renewal data. And you can even insert a dashboard, right? And this is powerful because now with all these prepackaged capabilities, we have a workspace within our teams, right? This is a game changer for us. On the other side, we have a customer-facing channel. Now, this one has no access to CRM data and is completely locked down, but it allows for you to have a free-flowing exchange channel with your customer. So you'll notice, for example, there's no access to Dynamics here. This is the folder structure that is relevant for my customer. And so one of the things that is most important about collab spaces is these pre-packaged capabilities. And the reason that this is powerful is because a seller no longer needs to spend time assembling a team with the right people and organize information. Not only does collab spaces save a huge amount of time, but it ensures that the collaboration is organized and efficient. So now sellers can focus on engaging with the customers and driving business outcomes rather than spending time organizing and searching for data. Right? So up next, we're going to see how our seller prepares for an upcoming meeting using calendars and using his teams. So he has a deal coming up here. And what we're going to do is pop into that deal and, of course, call Sales Copilot. And one of the most powerful things about Sales Copilot here is we've already seen it in Outlook. We've just got a taste of it in Teams, but it's also going to come up in your calendar, right? And so we'll see a familiar structure for Copilot, right? Notifying us who's inside the system and out of the system, allowing us to save this record directly to Dynamics as a note on the timeline. And here's an interesting signal here. We have the opportunity summary. And so as a seller, you spend a lot of time researching accounts and opportunities prior to engaging with customers. And building trust with customers is paramount. Unknown risks are our liabilities, and being informed with the proper view reduces risk and improves success rate. And so after reading this opportunity summary, your seller has a much more informed understanding of the customer's needs prior to joining this call. This will allow him to move that needle forward, right? And so we can see again collab spaces here, and then once again this tab that allows us to see everything that's going on. Now that our seller is equipped with the knowledge of what's to come in that meeting, he's going to go ahead and share these details directly from his calendar right into Teams, right? And so in Teams, what he's going to do, he's going to go to this team channel, another collab space, and share it with his team to swarm, a rally call of sorts. And you'll see that I've just pasted this record detail directly into Teams. And the reason that's powerful is because this will come up with a contact card. Let me just paste that again, make sure that comes up. So this contact card that comes up is something that's powerful because it allows us to go ahead and pull opportunity related data directly into Teams. And so you can do that within Teams or directly from Outlook. And now this is locked down with my teammates that have access to this, so you can ensure that nobody else has access to this data. But now what I've done is I've gone ahead and pulled up that data, shared it with my teammates, and now my team is engaged and helping me prepare for that meeting, right? There's still one more thing that I can go ahead and do to prepare for my meeting, and that's leveraging that Sales Copilot and conversational intelligence capability, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and click into my last meeting with the customer to see how I can reference that information to go ahead and prepare for this meeting. And so as I launched this team meeting, which was recorded and transcribed, this is where the magic starts to happen. The thinking behind conversational intelligence is to let sellers engage with customers without worrying about taking notes or following up with actions. Conversational intelligence transcribes and captures the key topics that have been mentioned, along with a sentiment analysis across the transcript. The first thing we see is a full transcription, right? A full transcription on the right-hand plane. We can think of it as a play-by-play of sorts of the entire conversation. A seller can play that back, listen to the audio, or refer to the notes themselves to get caught up to speed. Additionally, we mentioned briefly a sentiment analysis. The sentiment analysis is powerful. It's powerful because it allows your sellers to understand those key lines that resonated with the customer, right? It lets you also know what didn't resonate with the customer. And you can go ahead and zero in on those moments in the conversation and sharpen the blade, for lack of a better term, to get to know your customers better and really see kind of what lands the message with them. So on our recap tab, like I mentioned, it summarizes our highlights and follow-ups. What's powerful about this is that these follow-ups can be created as tasks and automatically placed into your CRM. So that saves you a lot of time, right? Saves you a lot of note-taking and frankly, mental clutter as you prepare for your next meeting. In the mentions tab, one of my favorites, it allows you to see what that conversation was about at a really high level. It gives you insights into competitor names, how many times a certain name was mentioned, maybe decision-making abilities, BANT, right? So this allows us to see the kind of questions that were asked and the topics that were being discussed in order to refine, once again, what was said during that meeting. And then we have our details tab, which really gives us an insight into our talk to listen ratio, our conversation switches, and the average pause time. And so that's powerful, right? Because you get a breakdown of all these KPIs, which are great for continuous improvement to ensure a seller doesn't speak too fast or switch too often, excuse me. Ultimately, a seller can package all of this information up and share with this information with those on the call so that they can connect that back to Dynamics or connect that back to Salesforce to make sure it's all in one place. So Sales Copilot did the heavy lifting, as you might have seen today, captured all of the outputs a seller might need and then saved a copy so that's not lost. And so, you know, what we've just seen again is the power of all three legs of the stool working together, right? O365, Teams, and your CRM showing you how, as a seller, you have access to the CRM in more locations than just the CRM. And so, you know, what do we do next? How do we get started? So now that we've seen the awesome power of Sales Copilot, here's a call to action by way of an introduction to a wealth of resources that are free and online. So from deployment guides to installation videos to technical discussions and in-depth architecture documentation, we have it all. You'll notice some of my favorites are the Sales Copilot Sellers Training, right? This is a brand new learning path that can be used as supplemental training material for your sellers, and you even win a badge for completing it. Of course, we also have our monthly release notes for your admins to stay informed about the latest and greatest features and improvements. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope you found this session inspiring and motivating to get started with Sales Copilot, whether that be in Dynamics or Salesforce.